listeners, and welcome to the Pie Oven Podcast. I am your host, RustyPieLover, ginger streamer, professional high-pitched screamer, and introducer of our next guest. You might know him as the Super Saiyan Dad. You might know him as the Rusk Soup Extraordinaire. But to me, he is the one and only Grant Hinds. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for joining me on the podcast. You'll notice that I put in the Rusk Soup thing in there, which we'll discuss at a later date or at a later time in the podcast. Introduce yourself a little bit to the listeners for those that don't know you.
Oh, wow. My name's Grant, and I am a games content creator, a gaming and technology content creator. And that's my job. I'm a dad. I don't know how to introduce myself.
No, that's perfect. No, don't worry. I'm bad at intros too. So yeah, first, let's start it off the correct way. What's your favorite pie?
My favorite pie? Well, we do eat a lot of fries, those vegan pies, and we eat a lot of their sausage rolls, which I consider a pie. Sausage roll pie.
Sausage rolls a pie.
Okay, yeah, I'll take that.
Okay,
so yeah,
that's a good one. As a pie lover extraordinaire, listeners or chat, whichever one you want to be called. Yeah, sausage roll is a pie. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. So for those that don't know, Grant Hinds is one of the industry's biggest, quote, if you want to call it that, influencers, gaming content creator, tech, and just an all-around cool guy, and surprisingly short. I've had the honor of meeting him, but he's really just a cool guy. And yeah, Grant, tell us about how you actually got started in the industry. I know you probably get asked this a lot, but genuinely curious, how did you actually get started in this this industry?
Well, it's a long story. So I was working at a TV studio as my first job. Very, very fortunate, but it was a very entry-level position. And I'm very excitable, as a lot of people know or don't appreciate. And I loved video games. So I used to like run around the office talking about all the video games that the 3D animators were playing on the machines, and just, you know, loving the vibe. And I got a call. Well, actually, I was storyboarding for a cartoon show. That was my predominant role there. So I was storyboarding with my headphones on. And a producer for one of the live shows that we worked on came up to me and said, "Hey, listen, do you want to review this game on TV tomorrow?" And I was like, "Yep, let's do it. If I get to keep the game." And he was like, "Yes, you definitely get to keep the game. We just had somebody bail on us, so we desperately need you." So I was like, "Sweet." So I did it, and then after I did it, they were like, "Do you want to come back in next week and do this again?" And I was like, "Yes, please." So yeah, so that's how it happened.
I believe it was Hectic 99, right? Am
Yes,
I correct?
yes. Yeah,
so back when I was but a wee lad, chat, I say that, a wee lad, I watched Grant on Hectic 99, so that's how I know him. And the first time I met him, he posted something in a specific Facebook group, which puppy act I will not say here, but he posted that he wanted to make a Rust content video, and I earnestly put my hand up and I was like, "This is Grant from Hectic 99, right?" And I watched his content on YouTube and things like that, and I was like, "Grant, listen, I want to do some Rust content." That was our first video together. Do you know that that's almost 6 years ago, sir?
Oh wow, no, I didn't know that. That's a long time ago.
That is 6 years ago, and since then, Grant and I have done CSGO, and we've done Rocket League together as well, and Overwatch. So in this time that I've gotten to know Grant, he's just an absolute mad lad character, and if you have not followed him, you should go do that. But what Grant doesn't tell you is there's secretly a war between him and I when it comes to Overwatch. Grant is the resident head clicker of Widowmakers, and I am the Bob Hype Man Ash player. I will readily admit that Grant Hinds is one of the best Widowmakers I have ever seen. Grant, tell us about how you actually got into Widowmaker. There's a lot of people that you could have picked in Overwatch, and yet you choose the French vixen herself.
Well, I really enjoy hit scan DPSs. I really enjoy sniping, and even when I played Dota, I played Drow and Sniper when I played Dota. So I was like, okay, cool. Let me give this a go. Because I've never played I never played Team Fortress Classic or any of those games. So I was like, okay, well, let's see how this is. And I just picked the character that works with my skill set. And found out that I'm pretty good with her. So I was like, cool. Let's try this out. See how far it goes.
And y'all heard that he wants to play Dota. Grant, listen, we can play Dota afterwards. I'm just,
Delete it from your machine now.
Listen, Dota is the most expensive free-to-play game I own. I can't get rid of it.
Why don't you just play League of Legends Wild Rift like a normal person?
Because I like Dota and I like suffering like a normal person.
Yeah, okay, I see how it is.
And then from your presenter side, you have obviously emceed for the likes of Samsung, for Rage, for Comic-Con, I believe, as well, for MTN. And tell us more about what it is like to be an MC. What pressures come with that kind of expectation to be the face of presentation, coming from your TV backgrounds and from gaming with that kind of energy. What is always expected from Grant to put down in these types of scenarios?
I really enjoy speaking in front of a crowd, so I have no problems doing it. I really enjoy the process of live TV and live events. So it's the what do you mean about expectation from client side or?
Yeah, like from client side, and what expectations do you put forward for yourself to present to a crowd? Like, is there a specific ritual that you go through that you say, I'm going to do this and this, or is it more like a go with the flow, see what happens kind of vibe, off the script type thing?
I'm usually off script, to be honest with you. That's usually my modus operandi. I don't like pre-recorded stuff as much as I like live content. I feel like live content, you have more there's more forgiveness and there's more room for surprise, which I appreciate. So I really, that's why I enjoy it, like live stage work as well, because it's a little bit of that too. So, and I don't like things too scripted, because then you remove the you move the surprise if you'd like. I like to have the surprise. It's important to me.
Perfect. And gotta say, you do it real good, and you can hear it, chat. If you ever hear someone hyping up in the background, any event you go to, it's likely going to be Grant Hinds over there. So you're also well known for your vast amounts of different hair colors, and you're rocking Super Saiyan yellow lately. What came with the inspiration of wanting to go from pink, or first to go to pink, because I remember that pink stage, even with the little pink beard. That was glorious, by the way. And then going straight to Super Saiyan dad mode for the last quite a while. You were rocking silver at one point because the dye was disappearing. I remember that as well.
Yeah, I just really... so I actually left one of the TV shows that I was working on under unfavorable conditions. And South Africa TV is very conservative. So there was no room for hair color or tattoos or anything crazy. So as soon as that happened, I was a bit of a rebellious streak. I was like, I'm going to dye my hair. So I dyed my hair blue. And it was a bit boring, to be honest. I didn't like it. And then the lady that dyed my hair, my stylist Salome, she's really amazing if you ever get to get your hair done in Cape Town. But she just said, pink is coming in, and why don't we just go the loudest pink that we can get? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And that was a huge deal. I got known for having this bright pink hair. And that was cool. That actually was really good for recognizability, and people knew who I was. And then Ninja copied me, obviously. And then I actually changed colors to yellow. I still wanted something bright, and yellow's kind of stuck, I guess. It's like the color that I think suits me the most, you know.
It is a glorious yellow, sir. I'm just waiting for the day that you scream for 5 hours long, and then you actually develop a Super Saiyan power. I'm waiting for that. It's gonna be glorious. Your daughter's gonna be so proud.
Yeah, I hope so. That's the hope.
And then you recently got engaged to Miss Archangel Amble. Can you tell us a little bit about that story? How did it all start? How did you plan the engagement? And how that story went. I think a lot of our listeners are going to be interested in that one. And you can take as much time as you want here. I want all the details. Just a little PG.
Yeah, we'll keep it PG, don't worry. I met Amble on an app called Hinge. It was over lockdown. And I've been checking out some dating apps and just learning a little bit about it. Had a few experiences. And then nothing was like really, grabbing me and so on. So I, anyway, saw her profile, was like, wow, got to ask her on a date. Realized that like she's totally out of my league. So I was like, cool, I'll just shoot, I guess. And then we'll see what happens. Maybe we don't get on well. Maybe there's a problem, And then picked her up on our first day, and we fell in love like on day one. Which was amazing. And we spent the whole day. Our first date was when I'm on a dating app, I usually do something where I take like an hour. So I'll go, okay, let's go for coffee somewhere. So it's always somewhere public, somewhere where it's a short period of time, somewhere where there's very, very low commitment and they can leave. Or I can leave, I guess. So it's just, low commitment. So anyway, I did that, and we got in a car, took some takeaway coffees, Chapman's Peak, and then I was like, cool, do you want to go get lunch now? To me, this is going really well. She was like, yes, let's do it. So we went to go get lunch, and then afterwards I was like, cool, so I can take you back now. It's getting late. Or we can go back to my place and we can watch a movie. She said that she was really into movies. That's how we connected on Hinge. First it was like, let's go get ice cream. So I was like, cool, let's go get ice cream. We got ice cream. And then after that, we went back to my place, and it was during lockdown. So there was curfew, and it was a 9 p.m. curfew, thanks to Cyril. And so 5 minutes, fortunately, she lived just down the road. So 5 minutes while we're watching our movie, it was still, we were only like halfway through the film. And I was like, cool, well, we've got to stop this, and, we've got to watch it another time. I've got to take you home. So I took her home. And we couldn't stop texting each other. I deleted as soon as I got home. I deleted all the dating apps. I was like, listen, I think I've clocked this game. And she was like, yep, me too. I've deleted everything. And we just kind of knew that we were going to be together for a long time, which is great. And that's how it started.
Someone's cutting onions over here. I love it. That is great, because I had a dating app experience, and it was the creepiest thing that ever happened to me. So I'm glad that worked out for you.
What happened?
Okay, so I was checking out this lady's profile, and was Tinder. So that's problem one. Tinder is, I think, for hookups and not actually for dating. I believe that's the classification of it. And what happened was, I checked this lady's profile, and I was like, okay, cool. Nothing really, bad. Invited her for coffee. We got to Rosebank. Went to, I believe there was a news cafe there. I could be wrong. And we sat there, and I remember vividly, she had long blonde hair, legs for days. It was beautiful. And we were mingling, and it was good. And the coffee came, and I asked her, what does she do for a living? And she dead straight looked me in the eye and said, I'm in a cult. And I was like,
what?
You're joking, right? Grant, I kid you not, listeners, I kid you not, she pulls out a book.
What?
She pulled out a book. Now, I don't know if it was Satanism, I don't know if it was anything else, but it looked like I was going to be their next sacrifice. Now, I'm ginger. I'm not too worried about that.
Oh my word.
But that was the fastest I ever asked for a check. I didn't even greet. I walked out. I was like, yeah, no. I went home that night. I deleted Tinder and I washed myself with a Bible. I did. I went into the bath, took the pages
That's
out, and just
amazing.
like washed myself. I was like, yeah, no, Tinder wasn't, no. So I'm glad you and Amble were meeting that. And then your engagement, tell us about that, because that must have taken quite a bit of planning to do.
Wow, that sounds like a way more interesting story than mine. That's great. Sometimes it's worth going. Don't be afraid of dating apps. Do them, because you have these experiences that you can't get anywhere else.
I could have died.
That's excellent. No, that makes me very happy. That's what a great experience. So the engagement was actually an interesting story. So we knew very early that we were gonna be together for a very long time. Yeah, as I said, like day one, we like both fell in love, and it was it's been a lightning bolt actually. I don't believe in love in first sight and all that stuff, but it's hard. Yeah, it's hard not to after our situation. So we that Christmas, remember we met in June that year. That Christmas, I went to go see her mom. So that's like 6 months later, and I said to her mom, like, "What would you be okay if I married your daughter?" And her mom actually wisely, and I really respect her for this. She was like, she really liked me, and she was like, "Yes, I really, really like you. You seem like a really great man." And I was like, "Cool, cool, cool." And then she ran straight to Amble, to Jess, and just said, "Grant has just asked me whether you want to get married. What do you want to do?" Which was actually the right approach, because she's looking out for her daughter. So Jess found out that way. And then I planned a big proposal on TV. I started preparing it in like January, February. I had to start getting a ring going. I had like sent my mom designs. I contacted a designer. I paid my deposit and everything. It was the boat was moving. I was setting a date with the TV studio for like close to like April, May. That was kind of where I was thinking. And then we both got COVID. And then I got better and she didn't get better. And we were really concerned. And it turns out she didn't get better because she was pregnant. So that's why she was continuing vomiting. We went to the doctor's rooms and we were trying to do blood tests. And the doctor was like, just take this pregnancy test. And we're like, no, it's not. We're not pregnant. She's like, just take the pregnancy test, trust. And just for peace of mind, just for my peace of mind. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, we'll do it. We actually didn't even do it that day. We did it the day afterwards. We were just so certain that it wasn't going to work. So anyway, so anyway, so I planned with the TV studio and everything, and I had to call them up embarrassingly and say, listen, strange things have happened. I need to postpone. Can we postpone? And they were like, yeah, let's postpone. And then it was kind of perfect timing because of COVID. And then we planned the shoot twice, and eventually I got to drop the question to her in like August. So yeah, that's the story.
I was sitting here and you said she was pregnant. I was like swaying back and forth in my chair with my face like, whoa, damn, son.
And also like Amble's never had a pregnancy scare. That's why we were certain it wasn't pregnancy. So we were like, and she's always wanted a child. She was just told she could never have children. So, so anyway, so it was kind of like this, like, wow, like I can actually be pregnant. Like, because I thought I couldn't, which is an incredible thing. And then secondly, like, if I want a kid, I want a kid with you. So and I was like, cool, well then let's keep the kid and let's do this thing. Told my parents were very happy. Yeah.
Aw,
It's been very cool. Yeah.
this is all so wholesome. Damn. I don't know what else to say. I think we just end the podcast right there. No, that is awesome. I'm happy for you too. And how is baby life? Give us a little bit of insight on that before we move over to the other topics at hand, which is I think what the listeners want. But I'm more interested in this right now.
The baby life is hard. Avoid having children if you don't need them. I'm grateful for Jamie. It's much easier now after 3 months because she had colic, so she was crying like for 3 months straight. And you have your partner ripping out their hair because this child doesn't stop screaming. It's a very emotional. It's a very emotional time. I'm not gonna lie. It's tough. It's tough, but we love her. And she's growing up and she's smiling. She's starting to teeth, which sucks. But we're very grateful for her. Very, very grateful for her.
She does seem to bring a little bit of light and spark in both your eyes, based on the Twitter pictures that we see. It's great to see you guys so happy. And the smile, chat. You, listeners, I keep calling you chat streamer things. All right, your chat from now on. I can see the smile on Grant's face. You won't see any video, but I can see the smile on his face when he talks about his wife to be and his child. It's amazing to see that. So back to gaming. All right. What game got you into gaming? Like, what is the OG game that got Grant Hinds into gaming?
I loved playing games on like my dad's old school computer. He had like it was before pre-486. Sorry, baby things. Staying awake all night looking after a baby that's screaming and crying. So we had this old computer. My dad used to have like F117A and like Formula One and car games on it. And that's how I really fell in love with gaming. And then it became more and more real for me individually when my mother bought us a family console, like the NES. I like absolutely fell in love with this thing. And we played Mario, and I was like, this is one of the greatest experiences of my life. So that's very, very like Mario was probably one of the first games that I ever got to play, to be honest. So that's how I got into games, and the rest is history. My brother and I bought Sega after that. We saved up our money, and then we bought a PlayStation after that. Didn't have a PlayStation 2. Kind of in high school, kind of fell out of console gaming. Played a lot of Rainbow Six. And the original Rainbow Six, and some PC games, and then ended up making a lot of music. So kind of played games like on the side, if you like. Yeah, so that's how that went.
There's something you didn't know, chat. Grant makes music. Yeah, or used to.
You used to, yeah. I used to love making music. I made music throughout my high school career and in varsity and even just out of school. That was my thing.
Wow, there's a new thing you learned. And this is a tough one, but I like to ask this. What would you classify as your favorite game, if not your top 5? If you don't have one of all time.
Probably Overwatch. Without a doubt. When you're younger, I don't know. So gaming is this very interesting thing because it evolves with you as a person, and gaming is so diverse in what it is that functionally that it's. I don't think gaming will ever not be a part of my life, but it will always evolve depending on my life stage. So, Overwatch is an interesting one because for the last 10 years, I've really enjoyed competitive games. Competitive gaming is something that I loved at school, and we used to do LANs, and it was mostly inaccessible actually to my parents wouldn't let me take a computer out the house and all that stuff. But to have a PC as an adult and be able to play online with everybody on the internet is kind of still magic to me. It's still like this weird, like, how do we get here? Because it's too cool. Like it's too unreal. Like we used to like plan weekends to do this kind of thing, and I can literally just log on and play a game of Overwatch with everybody, which is bonkers. So I'm super grateful for games like that. And then prior to that, when we didn't have the luxury of playing competitive games as religiously as we did, we could do whatever. Like we could like I was playing a lot of single stuff. So I was playing Metal Gear Solid. I was playing Half-Life. I was playing pretty much whatever I could crack and put on my PC. SWAT 4. Rainbow Six, obviously. Rainbow Six was probably one of my favorite games at school. I loved tactical shooters. I really, I hated where they went, and then they started a Rainbow Six Vegas, which was great. And then I really, Siege is good. Siege is it's a very good game, and I love competitive shooters. It's just missing a lot of the things I enjoyed about the original Rainbow Six. So it's hard for me to say, yeah, that's the game. But like, yeah, it is what it is.
So never a CS:GO fan then?
No. Well, I mean, I play every now and again. I find CS:GO quite boring. So with fast-paced shooters, I need it to be a little bit more active. I find CS:GO and Valorant, even battle royales, are largely quite boring in terms of like the gameplay loop is long. Death is very consequential. So you sit around and do the vast majority of the time you spend playing, you're actually not playing, which I dislike. And I know a lot of people will be like, well, just get good. But it takes you a long time to get good in those games because there's no rinse and repeat. The rinse and repeat's very slow. And there's a lot of waiting around corners, and like I just don't enjoy tactics like that. So, I mean, I did it with Rainbow Six, but I mean, I was, nearly role-playing, SWAT at that stage. With a competitive shooter like Overwatch, what I enjoy is that it scratches a lot of itches. It's fast-paced. It's like the basketball of those kinds of games. You die 6 seconds, you respawn at base. You get back into the action within like 10, 20 seconds. And you still can contribute to the fight. And as a result, you're learning a lot faster. It's happening a lot quicker. You get a lot more out of the game. So yes, I do appreciate Overwatch a lot. And I would argue that Overwatch is probably the best competitive game ever made. Online or digital game, sorry, like I'm not talking about like versus tennis or rugby in real life, but the best competitive video game ever. And it's just because it's mashed all the best parts of games like Dota and first-person shooters. It accommodates tons of different styles of play, so in ways that other games just don't. Mostly MOBAs kind of accommodate for a lot of different play styles, but as a shooter to do that and do it successfully and very well is very hard. So I do think Overwatch is up there.
I agree. I just won't agree that it's the most competitive game. I
didn't
agree
say it's
on
the most competitive. I said it's the best competitive.
Best competitive game, I would argue, but best competitive shooter, there's hands down, because I played Siege. I can't play Siege because of lag, so I've yet to give it a proper try. I played CSGO. I uninstalled CSGO, reinstalled CSGO, was reminded why I uninstalled it, and then uninstalled it again after a fit of rage, because the local scene is just hot garbage. It's not the competitive scene that's the problem. It's the public scene, all right? So, no, I'm not bumming on any CSGO fans out there. Overwatch, I love Overwatch, as everyone knows. I got Bob hanging in the back of my of my background, so people should know how much I love Overwatch. But I'm still a Dota boy through and through. I mean, recently I've started streaming Dota again. I've been thinking of getting back into casting. I don't know if I've still got the it factor for that. For those that don't know, I used to cast Dota 2 before I was a YouTuber. But I love the game, despite the game making me visibly upset some days. But I think that's just the effects that MOBAs have. Before we get into any of the gaming rage, so Overwatch would be your best game. What would you say is the worst game of all time?
Oh, there's so many of them, man. I don't know. Worst game of all time. I mean, E.T. is classically the worst game of all time, I guess. But
if not the worst game, what game do you feel has got a lot of praise but is actually not that good?
Oh, that's a much better question.
There you go. Let's get the controversy in here. Let's ruffle some feathers, because I got one as well. People are gonna hate me for this.
Hey, you go first.
Skyrim. I will start off hot and heavy. I feel, don't get me wrong here, Skyrim is a good game. All right, Skyrim is a good game, but it became the game it's supposed to be due to mods, because Bethesda does still not know how to make their games not broken. And I've got proof of this because I streamed Fallout 4. The game has been out for years and there are still game-breaking bugs. Skyrim still has a specific game-breaking bug if you play the Imperial, where you have to wait 32 in-game days before the quest activates. And it's a known bug, and that's the fix for the bug. They haven't patched it, and they've re-released Skyrim on console, on Switch, I think it's on Switch, I could be wrong here, on PC. They've remastered it, they've remastered it, and it's still broken. So Skyrim is an overrated game, and it's not as good as people think it is. I would argue as to say that Oblivion is better than Skyrim, and I'll die on this hill.
You're gonna get into a lot of trouble for saying that.
I'm ready for the backlash, man. What about you?
Yo, it's still hard, man. Okay, let me do a flip one. A game that was reviewed badly, but I thought was really good.
Okay.
Was Infinite Warfare. A lot of people hated Call of Duty Infinite Warfare.
Okay.
And I loved it. I thought it was such a good game. And man, I just wish that they had I just wish people like bought into it more, to be honest with you.
What is it about the game that brought you into it, that made you defy the public? Because that was one of Call of Duty's worst disliked videos ever in history, which is weird.
Okay, I think the game was actually incredible. I thought that I loved the low gravity. It added another dimension. I come from shooters like Quake. They were going in a route which was very interesting. I love the art direction. It's like Quake, but more realistic. And the gun varieties were so much, because they went science fiction, the gun varieties were more interesting. Shotguns were super cool. Loved the chaos. It was just such a great multiplayer experience. For me, I played many hours of it. And a lot of people hated it. I think there was kind of a lack of content. And from a content creator perspective, I think a lot of content creators didn't like it because the from Black Ops 3 all the way through to Infinite Warfare, it didn't look as rich, and the content didn't feel as rich as Black Ops did, because they went this more gritty look, I guess. And then it started this really stupid, and I still maintain this is a really stupid approach to Call of Duties, where they were like boots on the ground, baby. And I was like, is that the thing that you like about Call of Duty? Is that people run on the ground? Like, is this the thing that we want? And I just think it became this this attitude of nostalgia of Call of. They just wanted to play Call of Duty 4. Like, that's what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, just play that game then. They're all there's such a cool direction. And what it did was all those disliked videos really affected the future of Call of Duty. And I think Call of Duty is a lot less interesting because of community feedback and riling up the game. And I think we'd be in a way more interesting place if we were doing more war running and more double jumping in Call of Duty. And guess what? Apex took their breakfast. So, and Apex is arguably a bigger game than Call of Duty at the moment. And I don't care. It's not Activision, Blizzard politics. It's none of that stuff that's making it. Obviously, that's contributing, but it's not the reason people have gravitated to Apex. Apex is a great game, and it's a great game because they didn't have those shackles. And you know what? The team that made Apex Legends, same team that made Titanfall, are the same two game directors. Frank Simpella, forgot their names, but they were the ones who made Call of Duty Modern Warfare originally, and were fired from Activision and started their own studio to make Titanfall. And that's the route that they chose because they're great game developers. So again, when you listen to community for games and listening to what they want, if you're a great developer and you know your titles well, like, you definitely know what people want in a game, number one, and what makes a more interesting game, because you've probably studied level design and game mechanics. Number two, if you don't like a game because it's too colorful or it's too cartoony or childlike, but whatever, some weird aesthetic that you just didn't like, but you don't like the core gameplay mechanic, you're losing out. You're missing out on really exciting thing. If that's the thing that drags you into a game, you're missing out on the whole four-dimensional aspect that gaming has to offer, from gameplay, like community, and between Fortnite and Apex, Call of Duty really took a arrow to the knee, to take your Skyrim analogy.
No, I agree with you. Apex really just brought it home, and I mean, they've been going, what, it's now season 13 or 14 that they're going on, and they're still going strong. And like you said, I feel like not Overwatch, Call of Duty took a beating, but another nice boots to ground nostalgia game that severely disappointed me, that took a massive hit, that was actually a really good franchise at one point, Battlefield 2042. Oh my word, what happened there?
Oh, I didn't play it.
Oh, it was pathetic. I was lured into a false sense of security. I don't pre-order games. The only game I've ever pre-ordered was Tomb Raider 2013, the reboot, and that is a pre-order that I'm not spite of in the least, because that was a really good reboot for Lara Croft and the Tomb Raider series. Battlefield 2042 lulled me into a false sense of security because I thought it was going to be great. It was going to bring back those Battlefield 4 vibes, and there wasn't even Battlefield 1 vibes in that game. There's lack of content, lack of guns. The thing that made Battlefield what it was destructible environments. You know, big, huge buildings folding. There was none of that. Nothing in Battlefield 2042.
I really enjoyed Bad Company.
That's an interesting opinion, because not a lot of people enjoyed Bad Company, actually. Oh, no, wait, no, hold on. I've got the wrong one. I'm thinking of the wrong one. Bad Company was good. I apologize. It's the other one. It's the one where they are cops. What's that one?
Oh, yeah.
That's the one. Sorry, I had the wrong one. Bad Company.
I liked what they were thinking. Like, I like the thought process here, but
it's execution.
Is that what it was called?
I feel like it's the execution. It's the execution behind the idea. You can have a great concept, but if you're not executing it correctly,
it wasn't called execution.
No. I think it's called. That would have been weird. Hold on, I'll Google while we're here.
That would have been so weird.
Can
you imagine they called a cop game Battlefield Execution?
No, well, I mean, that would have been actually better. Battlefield 2, Bad Company.
No!
Hardline. There you go.
Yes,
Battlefield Hardline. That was not good.
That bloody game.
That was not good. But another game that I know sits sour in everyone's tongue that recently actually came to light. Now, I know you're not too big a fan of this, but Duke Nukem Forever. That is what you call a cuck game. All right? And as a Duke Nukem fan...
but Duke Nukem's terrible. I've never liked Duke Nukem.
Well, from a character perspective, yes, Duke Nukem is actually a terrible character. It's a mashup of everything that was wrong in the 90s. But from a level design for what Duke Nukem 3D was revolutionary. If you play Duke Nukem 3D, if you ignore Duke as a character, the level design and the monster design and the gun design of what they were trying to do with the character was actually like really good, and that's why Duke Nukem 3D is just held in such a high regard, because 3D Realms at that time that had actually good level designers could actually do something really good. And despite their character just being a relic, I don't think there's anything that can save that character.
Look, 3D Realms is a great tech. Great tech.
They do. And recently, actually today, I read some news that the build for Duke Nukem Forever in 2001 got leaked, and the game actually looked much better than what we got in the 2013 release of Duke Nukem Forever. So I think they were 12 years too late on an actual solid game that could have been released. It looked like it had great arena shooters. So
sounds like a rumor.
It does, like a typical Duke Nukem rumor. But no, this is actually true. I went to go and look at the build. It's playable, but it's not. It's obviously not. Fully fledged out. There's one game, and I don't know if you played it much, Grant, Unreal Tournament. I am so sad that Epic didn't follow through on a new Unreal Tournament.
There's a new Unreal Tournament.
Nope.
For free?
No, it got cancelled. Like, it's free, but it's not being developed any further. At all.
Yeah, that is disappointing. Look, Fortnite is the new Unreal Tournament, let's be honest. Unreal Tournament existed to test the engine out and make the engine good for everybody else. And the direction that the engine needs to take is one of cross-platform. It's the one that Fortnite is serving.
Let me ask you then, if you wouldn't mind, do you think arena shooters still have a place in let me not say 2020s, let me say in this era of gaming, because we're all about the battle royale. I mean, the new Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt came out, and it's actually a really fun battle royale. I've enjoyed it, and it's free. It's really good. Like, it takes a different aspect to battle royale. It's still the same, team of 3, team of 2, or solo, last man standing type vibe, but obviously with like the whole Vampire the Masquerade lore, different types of vampires do different types of things. You have to strategize, you have to do different types of things, and the map is small enough that you don't find too many boarding spots. But do you think that arena shooters like Quake and Unreal Tournament, the two big OGs, do have a place to come back to, or is that just a bygone era of, I want to say, the 90s babies, so to speak?
I think there's still a place for it. Look at Halo. Look how well Halo's doing.
It's not doing that well anymore.
Isn't it?
No, Halo, because of the battle pass just not getting updated at all, and because of the developers just not going into any type of updates, it has plummeted into obscurity. I mean, on Twitch, it has 1,000+ viewers max. Stardew Valley does better. Stardew Valley does better than Halo Infinite. Sure. So it was doing good. It was, and then they dropped the ball on it. I'll tell you now. Yeah. Halo Infinite 1.2 at time of recording, chat. Stardew Valley, which is an old game now, 2.3. That should tell you everything.
It's hard because it's so hard because I've got some theories about Halo. I think Halo Infinite, although it's a great game, it's too nostalgic. And I think the things that make a good arena shooter now have to be reworked and rethought of. Another really good arena shooter is Splatoon.
Yeah.
That's Splatoon. And I think I would argue that was quite successful, but that was how Nintendo took the arena shooter model and made a more interesting game with it. And it's still very popular. There's still like a diehard fan base of players. So yeah, I would argue Yeah, I would argue that we need to jazz it up a bit. Like one of the really frustrating things that happened when I jumped into Halo was that every time I respawned, I came back with a small gun,
Yeah.
and I had to run to points. And I was like, oh, I don't remember this. Like I haven't played a game where where this is a mechanic. So it gets super frustrating when you get stomped on by other people because you just don't have a fighting chance to come back.
Yeah.
But the arena shooters that I've been playing, oddly enough, have been like in Overwatch waiting rooms with custom games. And everybody spawns with like the same sniper rifle or whatever. And it was the best parts of Unreal Tournament. It was like Instagib modes and
Yeah.
Doom, right? So
Oh.
like there's instead of making that a peripheral game, why don't you make that the main game? Why don't you make that the mainstay? Like equal. Even in Overwatch 2 now, there's a new character called Sojourn, and she's kind of like an old school. If you enjoy old school shooters, that's her. She's got a railgun, so that's cool. She's got this railgun, and you can slide around and use it. It's cool. And then some of the best fun we're having is in custom games where you basically activate an alt, and then you just have a permanent railgun, and it's instagib, and everybody's just running. And I'm like, those lobbies are full, man. Those lobbies are full. Why are those lobbies full? It's because the core game mechanic is there. The nuts and bolts of what makes that fun is still there.
I mean,
like what makes Halo fun is not rolling in with no weapon. That's a relic. But maybe making that like a part of the core experience somehow. I'm not a game developer, but maybe making that. Look at Call of Duty. Call of Duty changed that, so you have loadouts, and that made arena shooters more interesting at the time. And why can't you do the same with Halo? Maybe I'm missing it because I don't know. I don't see loadouts in Halo. But to me, that would be much better if Halo had a wider variety of weapons, wider variety of skins, character designs, and you got to dig around and enjoy, like building your own loadouts to be the best and balanced loadouts. So like. And then have shotguns only modes and like shipment styled maps. I would like to see that. I just don't see like a new generation of people looking at those Halo suits and going, oh, this is compelling when I can play as Ariana Grande in Fortnite. I mean, like why would a new generation of kids want to play Halo?
Yeah.
And it's yeah, and it's hard to make new content for a game where you've just stuck so strongly to like this walled garden. It's never gonna grow, and you might go like, yes, like that's just the game I liked, and maybe these kids just can leave our games alone or whatever. And if that's how you feel, then they should just make a Halo free to play, one of your old ones, Halo 3, make it free to play. Enjoy it with you and your friends. Play it on the Battle Pass, but don't expect a new Halo. Because the new way of playing games is so much more involved, and it's more culture driven. It's more like there's a culture around Fortnite and lore around what's going to happen and constant eventing. Yeah, it's just so much more diverse and interesting, and yeah.
It is. If you look at like Apex, they're consistently adding story to the game and adding lore. The same with Fortnite. I don't play Fortnite. I don't like Fortnite, but that's on me. As a concept, it's good. It's a battle royale at base. I'm not a huge fan of battle royale, but like you said, gaming is currently an involved thing. And if you look at like Unreal Tournament, I think the only way you really like get involved is if, like you said, you do like I don't want to say pop culture icon type vibe, but if you like make skins, battle pass events, things like that, I feel like there is space in the market for an Unreal Tournament. It's probably the flat cannon talking to me in nostalgia, and I know there's a lot of people that enjoyed the flat cannon. Jump over the head, flat cannon. Them Gibbs, baby, them Gibbs. We're really old, aren't we? Talking about like Unreal Tournament and things like that, huh?
Yeah. We're very old.
You know what was weird to me? Everyone was so excited about Age of Empires 4, but there's only a very small community playing that. You think we're in an era where people are just not wanting to play those type of strategy games? Because I remember StarCraft and Warcraft and Age of Empires were like the thing back when gaming wasn't so filled with competitive shooters and all those things. Do you think that's an era that's reserved just for small niche audience, or do you think there's space for RTSs to once again like dominate? Because if you look at like MOBAs are going to be here forever. People can tell me Dota and League of Legends and Smite will die eventually. They're not. They're just not. They got enough mechanics in them to teach even new players how to get in them, and I just don't think MOBAs are going to be a thing of the past. I also don't think Fortnite and Apex might be a thing of the past. I don't believe so. But things like
I definitely will. Okay. You're obviously not as old. You're obviously not as old as I am, because everything comes to an end in this industry. Especially if something more compelling comes out and takes away all the attention from something else. So so like I think MOBA stole RTS, like stole people away from RTSs. RTSs have kind of shot themselves in the foot, because when you play an RTS, again, it's quite slow. I'd argue StarCraft isn't slow, but
no, it's not. StarCraft is not slow. Oh my!
No, that's
word.
what I said. That's what I said. I said I'd argue StarCraft isn't slow. But at the same time, it's very mathematical and formulaic, and the outcome of a match is often decided on the formula. And it's the same problem that Overwatch has just had, and what Overwatch 2 is trying to do to solve it. It's trying to create something where the meta cannot be locked. And unfortunately, a game which meta can be locked becomes a matter of it makes the game static. You know, in real life, the meta of the game is often locked, but it's down to fitness, it's down to personal playability, and that changes the actual game a lot, to the point where they have to make new rules, like how, like, we can't pass forward, or you can't kick a ball a certain way, or whatever, and they make rules around this stuff anyway. And there's enough RNG in real life to make sport or competitive sports interesting in a locked meta. Does that make sense?
It does.
When a video game, there's no RNG in a lot of those games.
Yeah.
There's no room for failure. So the only thing that's mildly random in StarCraft often is the map design. But like it depends. There's usually standard maps anyway. So that sucks. And in a MOBA, the RNG comes in the amount of people amount of characters that are playing. So there's like how many variations of teams can be created, and then they just have to tweak some of the stats of some of the heroes, and then they can just turn the tide. In a game like Overwatch, the pool of heroes is too small to do that kind of tweaking. And they've tried, and it does change the meta a bit, but it's so fast. The meta gets locked in so quickly again because of the pool of heroes being so small. So they've had to solve those problems with Overwatch 2, and that's kind of like what they're doing. It's a lot more like individual skill based. So they're trying to treat it as like, what is the ability of the player to carry a certain role. So that's how Overwatch are solving it, which is really cool. And I'm really excited to see where it goes. But MOBAs will die if there is, firstly, something way more compelling that comes out that we don't know, that scratches that itch. It might be similar. It might be on phones. It might be a different platform, and it will do the things that make MOBAs compelling better than a MOBA does. And we don't know what it is yet.
Yeah.
And it'll end the MOBA, but it'll be fine because we'll be onto something new and cool as a player. We'll be like, cool. We know we want to be there.
And what do you think is the next it's so difficult with how gaming is, but what do you think is going to be the next thing that takes the gaming world by storm? Do you think it's simulators? Do you think it's going to be a shooter? Do you think it's what do you personally hope to see that's going to take the world by storm? Because for me, I feel like maybe either Witchbrook or Haunted Chocolatier, which is like a Stardew Valley-esque game. So Witchbrook is coming from Chucklefish, and Haunted Chocolatier is coming from the creator of Stardew Valley, Concerned Ape. So I think those are going to scratch a specific itch, but I don't think it's going to be as big as how Stardew Valley was. So what do you think is going to be the next thing that's going to take the world by storm and everyone's going to be like, I have to do this?
Well, I never played Stardew Valley. I hate like resource management in a game. That's a pet hate.
Fair.
So if the game
That's fair.
centers itself around resource management, I usually
That's
yeet
fair.
it to the curb. Yeah, look, I don't think Stardew Valley took the world by storm. That's a very strong
20 million
statement.
copies says otherwise, sir.
I mean, it sold well, but like so did Solitaire.
And Solitaire took the world by storm. So I mean,
No,
look, I don't.
Wait, how many copies? How many
Oh no,
copies?
Solitaire, flipping hell! How many copies of Solitaire sold?
Okay, so no, let's so how many copies of Stardew Valley?
It's 20 million so far.
Okay, 20 million.
Okay,
cool.
so like Overwatch, we know Overwatch took the world by storm. Like that is for sure. Like
What
Overwatch
games have sold over 20 million?
Yeah.
No, I'm googling it.
Oh.
What is the top 10 was? Minecraft, 180 million.
Okay, Minecraft is definitely one of them.
Yeah, no, it's hundreds. Tetris, it's up there.
Okay, so it says here.
PUBG.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Okay, so list of, this is according to Wikipedia. I don't believe it, but Minecraft, GTA 5, which did take the world by storm. Tetris.
Yes.
I can't believe it, but sure. Wii Sports actually like recently like shot up. Terraria, that's insane.
But this what do you mean Wii Sports recently shot up? It's been here the whole time.
No, I know, but like recently on Twitch, it's like shot up in popularity. It wasn't that popular.
Because the new Switch Sports is coming out. So I think people are going back
PUBG, which did take the world by storm. Mario Kart.
Red Dead Redemption 2 is 11.
With Tetris like just behind it. Check that.
Look, there's Terraria, my bro.
Terraria, man. Terraria is
that's your jam.
I like
as
Terraria,
you can see, I do not even in the top 50, Stardew Valley is not here.
No, not yet.
It's not here at all.
But like what I mean
go to the bottom of the list.
What I mean is like Stardew Valley is one of those games that was like no one will tell you they don't know about Stardew Valley. But what do you think is going to be the game that or the genre that we're going to see take the world by storm? Because Minecraft is still, and Minecraft is popular for a reason. Like a lot of people don't like Minecraft. I love Minecraft. I do. I'm busy with a whole huge project. Found your name on my follower list, by the way. So you've been put up on my, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's called the Cream Pie Temple. Don't ask. I had a huge thing with chat today. So Every follower that's followed me, I'm putting up on a sign to commemorate them to say thank you. The only problem with what I'm doing is I'm doing it in a hardcore world. So if a creeper blows me up, all that hard work is gone. But coming back to my question, I'm derailing here. What do you think is the genre that's going to take it?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I think that it's going to be anything that creates an ecosystem or an environment of play that's interesting and engaging and includes your friends. So like I find that Elden Ring, great. Like Elden Ring's had its and the Souls games have had their like day in the sunshine, but even they've had to create like an online a community-driven aspect of a single player essentially game because it's that's what it is.
So then let me ask you, I don't know how closely you follow Diablo 4, but do you think Diablo 4 will actually fill that little spot?
No. Diablo 4?
Mm-hmm.
No.
You don't.
No. Diablo 4 is designed for, again, the old gamers.
Okay, so I don't know how closely you follow it, but they've got multiplayer aspect on it as well. So they're going back to the Diablo 2 days where you can have 8 people at a time in a party. There are world boss events, so they kind of add that MMORPG style to it with the single player and multiplayer aspect attached to it.
That's very
with, as far as I understand, it's going to be a procedurally generated world in certain areas if you run multiplayer.
Yeah.
And single player, there's quests given, maps where you go and do this kind of like they're going the MMO route, but also the old school Diablo 2 rune words. They are keeping to the 4 skills thing because they don't want too much micromanagement. So they're keeping the 4 skills from Diablo 3, so you feel like you're powerful, but they're changing up how monsters work. They're making it a little bit more punishing, so you don't just click one button and the whole screen blows up, which I like. There has to be some kind of difficulty to the game that Diablo 3 didn't offer. So they've got the multiplayer aspect, they've got the world generation, they've got the world bosses, they've got everything, they've got the magic, they're hitting all the specific archetypes. We could go into this, but we don't have time. Do you think that will fill that little gap of that multiplayer aspect, running with your friends, but still having an enticing story with replayability? I think that's also a lot of what we're missing from some RPGs. I'm not saying all, but I feel like replayability with your friends, doing different things. Will Diablo 4 or any other top-down RTS fill that gap? And do you think there's going to be a place for those games to maybe take away from the current shift of FPS competitive battle royale meta that we're in right now?
No. And the reason I say that is because there's not a competent mobile companion for it. And I think that that's going to be very important in the next wave. That you need to have Fortnite's popularity, like it or not, one of the biggest contributors was the fact that you could play it on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Diablo Immortal is a very exciting prospect.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually played a fair amount of it because I had access.
I did, and I loved it. I'm not gonna lie, I don't care what people say if they can hate on it, but I actually did love Diablo Immortal.
It's a great platform to play Diablo on. Mm-hmm. I had server issues at the time. That sucks, and obviously it's not wired in because it's Wi-Fi. So yeah, of course that's a problem. But like, I mean, I think it needs that like big time, and it needs more. It needs way more than Diablo 3 had. That's for sure. but that mobile contribution. Look, it's no doubt it's going to be a good game. Diablo 4 is going to sell very well. It's going to be super popular, but its longevity is going to be distilled, I think, in a very similar way that Diablo 3's longevity was, unless they start doing way more interesting things like an arena mode where you battle against other opponents, or something that's a little bit more quick and accessible, other than just like a quick tour of a dungeon, and like a clicking simulator. Those games, a lot of us enjoy those games because deep down they're nostalgic for us. That's why we enjoy them, and that's why there was so much backlash against the third Diablo. I don't know if you remember, people were protesting that it was too colorful.
Yeah.
And I think that's ridiculous. Like, and it shows that the game's draw card is that it's nostalgic, not that it's necessarily the gameplay is what brings people to it. And that's that's like a big problem. And again, it's like when people were upset that Diablo was coming to mobile, I was like, what? I'm so confused as to why Hearthstone is such a good game, and it's predominantly I think Hearthstone is predominantly a mobile game. And you know what? Blizzard are pretty good at making mobile games now, and like, Immortal is great, has been great what I've played of it, and Hearthstone is great. I'm really looking forward to this Warcraft Arclight game.
That was my next question. Are you're gonna get it? Because I pre-registered.
Yeah, I've pre-registered as well. Yeah, and I think those kind of games could take the world by storm. But you know, Fortnite took the world by storm because it's mobile, and everybody's kicking it to gear. Like, what happens if you could work? What happens if you could play Apex Legends on your phone? Or like even Overwatch 2 is one of the big things is them working on a mobile version.
It's to
You
try
know,
and get people involved in it. All
yeah,
right,
because
sir.
you want more people to play the game than less people.
Exactly. No, I agree, and I gotta agree on the nostalgia factor. I didn't have a problem with Diablo 3 being colorful or whatever the case may be. I had a problem with the replayability. For me, the thing is,
Yes.
I felt too strong too early that I click one button and I walk through. There's nothing challenging about the game to keep me enticed in it. That was the problem. Like Diablo 2 made you think rune words, okay, I got to use this build, but is this going to kill this thing? No, I can't kill this thing because it's immune. So there's always got to be, for those type of games, I feel there's got to be backlash for you putting your eggs in one basket. There's got to be. You can't be a walking god on the earth pressing one button and murdering everything. So what they're doing with Diablo 4 is, yeah, so what they're doing with Diablo 4 now is there's stagger mechanics. So each enemy has a certain attack pattern, and if you don't block, because there's now blocking mechanics and dodge mechanics, if you don't block, you can get stun locked. And if you get stun locked, you'll die. So they're making you be on your feet. Obviously, you have your mana and your rage and your things, because it doesn't make sense for a barbarian to use mana. They don't know how to cast spells, so they use rage. But if you're in the middle of a swing and something stun locks you, that's punishment. That's the kind of thing that I like for gaming. It's that I'm not swinging continuously, killing everything, never getting tired. That was the problem with Diablo 3, with some of the builds. Now with Diablo 4, how that works is you only have a certain amount of things, and if you don't dodge enemies or if you don't do this, there's punishment mechanics. So you got to be careful. You got to think about what you're doing, and that's what I like. That's what I feel like some games are missing. That's what I feel Apex nails. You got to think about what you're doing. You got to think about where your placements is, where your map awareness is. That's why Dota and League of Legends are still so popular, because you got to think.
Yeah. I'm bored of those games though.
You want something new and exciting, huh?
I know. I just don't like admin in a game. I like mechanical skill. I'm back to that arena shooting mode, and
You just mindless
Overwatch
shooting.
Is the closest.
Yeah,
no,
mindless shooting.
Overwatch is the closest thing to that arena mode, but with enough compelling game mechanics to keep you coming.
All right, sir. Quick fire questions, and then we gotta end it off a little bit here. Okay, so let's start off with a good one, and I don't want to make it too easy. Favorite movie?
Jurassic Park.
Favorite band?
Sure. Maybe Blink-182.
Favorite song?
What kind of music?
It doesn't matter.
Most Def's Mathematics.
Most difficult game you've ever played?
Probably Sekiro.
Nice. Worst game rage moment?
I don't often rage in a game, but I think it was Apex. I think I just like forget about why did I install this? Valorant would probably be the latest one.
I didn't even know you played Valorant. That's a good one.
I played it for half an hour and thought, what was I doing? I uninstalled that.
Favorite food?
I like a curry.
Nice. Favorite hair color?
Yellow.
I was kind of hoping for the pink, but there you go. Man, there was a really good one that I had, and then my brain just farted. Best Widowmaker shot ever. What was your best Widowmaker shot that you ever hit?
I don't know, but I think I did a team wipe once. It was pretty rewarding. On point.
Damn. Okay, I gotta step up my game. And then last one. Do you believe in the glory of Bob?
Always and forever.
All right, Grant, I'm going to let you take the floor. We are a little bit over, but it's fine. Please tell everyone where we can find you, and then I will do my bit.
You can find me on the Instagram at Grant Hinds. Actually, everywhere it's at Grant Hinds, but it's HINDS, infinitely D for donkey, S for sugar. And you can, you can find me Twitch, YouTube, your mom's house, and Instagram and Twitter.
And TikTok? You forgot about TikTok.
Oh, TikTok. Yeah. Same.
All
Same
right,
energy.
chat. So this is the part where I compliment our guest. So I want to say thank you, Grant, for joining me on the Pie Oven podcast. And for those that don't know, Grant is one of my biggest inspirations. This man has believed in me since day one. He still believes in me. He and I have a chat every now and then. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for just being a great friend, being a great mentor, being a great guide, and just being just an awesome mad lad person, for making great content, for putting out all that great content to the world and just making the place better for us all. And, just thank you for being just the kindest human being that I have the pleasure of calling friend.
Oh, dude, don't be so nice.
You see, chat, I love making people uncomfortable with compliments. We all hate it. But seriously, Grant, thank you so much. I really appreciate for taking the time. And chat, got an exciting guest next week. I'm not going to say anything, but you can follow me everywhere. YouTube.com/RustyPieLover. I'm RustyPieLover everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Hover, Twitch, especially the Twitch. Come follow on Twitch. We have a fun time over there. And thank you for listening. Enjoy your pies. Let me know in the comment section which pie you got today. And thank you for listening. Take care now. Bye-bye.